according to the international declaration of elimination of violence against women, is considered as a crime. In recent weeks, even entry of medicine for Ashraf residents that they had bought by their own resources under the supervision of Iraqi director of Ashraf's hospital has been blocked. How can one justify such a major crime against protected persons? It is time that the US removes the terror label from the PMI and no longer hinders change in Iran, and for the United Nations to set up a permanent monitoring team in Ashraf. I thank you all.
There speaks the strong voice of the Iranian resistance, and that's what makes the mullahs very wary about where they next put their foot. So with the Egyptian people on the one hand, and Mrs. Rajavi and her colleagues at Ashraf on the other, and our small voice, they haven't got a chance, have they? They've had it. First of all, I'd like to call on Lord Carlisle of Berriew, who, as I mentioned earlier, I think he was the government's independent reviewer of terrorism legislation from 2001 until just a few weeks ago. Alex.
Can I start by echoing what has been said about Camp Ashraf and the situation there today? I think everybody here would join with me and with everyone, and Robin said this very eloquently, in passing our affection, our concern, and for me as a lawyer, our deep sense of injustice as to what the international community is allowing to occur at Camp Ashraf. And it's my view that the international community bears a very strong responsibility for this in its weakness in advocating that injustice. We should hear far more from the leading governments of the world. And all we are asking the United States government to do is what was eventually achieved here in the United Kingdom, albeit with attrition, and in Europe, which is to take the PMOI in the United States too into the family of recognized international institutions. What they're doing is completely illogical. Just think about it for a moment. If there is regime change in Iran, for example, as a result of a popular revolution, then there will have to be a government in its place. Wouldn't it be more sensible to be able to turn to a group of people about whom it can be said, we recognize these people as being responsible politicians, without the ludicrous and inaccurate label that they happen to be terrorists too? Surely when there is regime change, the United States will need friends whom it has assisted towards the creation in due course of democratic institutions in Iran. But let me just remind you with a short direct quotation of what Lord Phillips of Wortham-Travers, then sitting in the Court of Appeal, but now the President of the UK Supreme Court, said. He said, "It is a matter for comment and for regret that the decision-making process in this case has signally fallen short of the standards which our public law sets, and which those affected by public decisions have come to expect. And he confirmed in that judgment that the Secretary of State for the time being's decision to refuse to deproscribe the PMOI was perverse, irrational, not reasonable, and not such that could have been founded on an honestly held belief by the Secretary of State. In the UK proceedings, the judgments of which are available publicly and of course in every detail to the United States government, every single allegation that could be trotted out against the PMOI was made, every one of those allegations was considered, and every single one of them that was material was demolished by the British courts. Whilst I was in the United States, I pressed the United States government lawyers to tell me of a single piece of evidence that they had, beyond wild allegations made by the regime that cannot be corroborated anyway, that was not rejected by the British courts in carefully reasoned judgments at two senior court levels. They were able to tell me of nothing. Now, I am a friend of the United States. I'm a lawyer in our common law jurisdiction, and I admire their common law jurisdiction just as I think, by and large, they admire ours. But I do expect the United States, and I have said this to lawyers direct over there, to apply the same rigorous standards of judicial review of executive action to their State Department as were applied in the United Kingdom to our government. So far, they have failed to do so. What possible reason could they not have for doing so? Well, Lord Clark has used the right word, in my view: appeasement. For years, as you've heard, the British government, the United States government, have appeased the mullahs and Ahmadinejad because they have some kind of perverse belief that things will be better if they do not square up to them. But honestly, what is to be gained from not squaring up to them? What is the evidence that there is anything of advantage from not squaring up to them?